Hi there, my name is Natasha. I am the creator and the founder of the Glow Up Method, and I'm so excited to be here with you today. You beautiful glow up goddesses and gods. Oh my goodness. Today is a great day, and it's actually a deeply personal kind of realization that I'm going on. So what we've been talking about these past few days has really been about peeling back the layers of the onion, so to say. And I hate onions. Like, I will eat them cooked in something, but like a raw onion, hell no. Like, no thank you whatsoever. But anyways, I'll still cook with them, because I thought to myself when I was a kid, like, I can't wait till I grow up. When I grow up, I'm just gonna cook everything without onions, and I don't have to worry about picking them out, because even as a kid, I wouldn't even eat them cooked in something. And still now, if they're big, they're going to the side. But I'm like, I can't wait. And then I cooked it, but then I had no flavor. So, of course, I've incorporated those onions back into my life. Not a huge fan, but I will eat an occasional onion ring or something like that. But the bottom line, it has to be cooked. If I get that crunchy onion texture, I'm out. Like, meal ruined. Big temper tantrum over here. So anyways, that is not what this episode about, but this episode is about an onion and peeling. No, it's not really about an onion, but it's about peeling back the layers of an onion and getting to that core, right? And so how do we get there? Like, again, like I've said, I lived so much of my life waiting for people's responses, waiting for the responses of the world to figure out, how do I safely navigate this? How do I not get abandoned again? How do I receive love? And how that's how I was working. And so now I'm peeling out those things. I'm giving less importance and priority to all those external forces and the outside things, and really looking from the inside in. And so, yeah, there was a lot of cobwebs. I didn't know how to access the information. I didn't feel very comfortable sitting with myself and being like, what do we feel today? I had to use visuals. I had to use worksheets, like the ones when you go into the doctor's office. It's like, how am I feeling today? Is it a big smile? Is it neutral? Is it a frowny face? Like, what's going on? And I had to get really elementary about it. I had to get I was a kindergarten teacher, like, what does this mean? To ask myself, how do I feel? And I know it sounds crazy, but I just didn't know. It was definitely not a right-handed, default setting. And then to not judge what you're feeling, like, how dare you feel sad today? Like, you are so lucky to be alive. How can you be sad? Like, to not judge what was being felt, like, to become really safe in those self-reflections and have these self-awareness was a process. Like, it didn't happen overnight. And it was a place that, number one, the biggest thing was, I needed to learn how to be kind to myself. As I've self-confessed here, I was this big anti-bully advocate. Why? Probably because I was the biggest damn bully on the block. I mean, like I said, there was nothing anybody has ever verbally said to me or about me that has come back to me that I didn't say 10 times worse, that I didn't think 10 times worse. And that, quite honestly, if there was some truth to whatever they said, and sometimes even if there wasn't, I believed what they said. Like, yeah, I was worthy of that kind of criticism, judgment, cruelness, whatever it was. Like, yeah, I deserved that. And, I'm going to run with that tonight. When I can't sleep tonight, what's going to be running through my head is your voice. And then it's going to get drowned out by my voice, even being louder and meaner. And I will do that to myself. And so finding this place where that big bully on the block is no longer welcome at the table. And it's so freeing. And again, it's not till you get to the other side. It's not till, that was the right-handed default setting. But when I got to the other side and was able to use, even in an inferior way, my left hand, I was like, oh my gosh, this is what's been going on. Like, I'm so sorry. I didn't know I was a big bully. You know, it's kind of like that thing, right? Like where, you know, you watch a program or something and you can see the writing is on the wall. You know, you see the kid and you don't like him because he's a big bully and he's taking people's lunch money and he's hitting people and he's doing these things. But then you pan to his home life and he's being abused. And this is all he knows. And that's kind of like me. And I'm not saying I was abused and mean, but I definitely was abusive and mean to myself. And it was probably a result of all of the circumstances. And I point no blame to my parents or the extra family that I had raising me. It just was. I can't go back and change it. And if I could, I would. And I'm sure the family members now that are wiser and older, it would have been a different situation, but it wasn't. And so to dwell on it was your fault, I'm this way. No, let's learn and let's change. Let's break these generational curses, right? Let's leave a legacy that maybe I wasn't even able to leave for my own kids in their raising. You know, some things I was and some things I wasn't, but I can still go back and check in with them. And I can still go back and say, hey, you know, when you were, you know, being raised up, like when I was raising you, I did some things that I'm really not proud of, and I want to talk to you about them and let you know, like, this doesn't have to be the way you raise your kids. And then maybe my kids don't even have kids, and maybe I say something here that, you know, to the young mom or the young dad out there or the young grandma, you know, like that's helping raise the family, or auntie or sibling or whatever. Maybe there's something here that resonates with you, and, you know, maybe I can't end all the generational curses in my direct line, you know, but perhaps, you know, I can be somebody who plants a little seed in your mind that the way that you were raised, the way that you speak to yourself may not be in line with creating this life you're proud of, right? You know, if I had that mantra and if I had that rolling in my head, you know, years before, there's a lot of things I think I would have done differently. And I wouldn't change a damn thing because I'm so proud of where I am today. I'm so grateful for every minute I did have with my kids and still remain having with them. So I wouldn't change a darn thing. And I have a whole slew of examples and things that I can learn from. But what I really, really wanted to talk to you about today was this concept of forcing something to work when we know it shouldn't, right? And so what's the first part is we have to listen to ourselves, right? We do some self-reflecting. We got that feeling in our tummy like, it's just off. But like I've told you, right? Like I was so excited a few months ago. I made these beautiful windowsill succulents, and initially they were thriving. They looked so happy. I would look out and I was so happy. And now I'm struggling to look out at them. And the reason is I really, really want them to work. I really want them to fit there. I love how it looks there. You know, I just want it. But the truth of the matter is some have died. And the other ones that are still living are honestly not thriving. They're barely surviving. They're not growing, they're wilting, they're changing colors, it's a sad bunch. I want to show you. And there's a couple here and there that are like content, but the vast majority of the windowsill looks abysmal. And, you know, it just was this reminder to me that, you know, sometimes I, and perhaps maybe you, like we invest so much time in certain things. It could be our relationships. It could be our careers. It could be our personal growth strategies. It could be a gardening thing, right? It could be so much. We invest this time, this energy, all of this to something, and we just want it to work. Another example, this stinking light setup thing I have going on here. It is not working for me. It is always crooked. I waste a lot of time. I do get a fancy button out of it, but it isn't working. My phone is tilted. I can't get the plug in, and I'm forcing it to work, right? These succulents, I'm forcing to work. And it reminds me so much of my marriage. I was forcing it to work. I really, really wanted the happy ending. I really, really wanted the easy solution of staying together. That in execution just was not so simple for me. And I just feel like there were times that I stuck in, and I'm sticking with this because I don't want it to fail. And I know this, it's just this season, this particular season of summer, it's going to be really hard on them. But when we get through the other side and we get to the fall and the winter and the spring, they'll once again flourish, right? I mean, if they don't die in the meantime. And that's kind of what I did. I felt like in this marriage that there were seasons in which I just was this person who was able to just sit back and take the abuse in my mind, okay? Maybe not in his, but the treatment that for me overstepped my boundaries. Now, I didn't know what boundaries were again. I had to go back to very elementary, very rudimental, like, what is a boundary? What is self-care? I mean, these are our legitimate multi therapy sessions of finding out what these things are in the first place. Like, these are absolutely foreign concepts. You know, when you're like a student and you open up the science book and you're like, I don't know what any of these words mean here and here. At least for me, maybe y'all are good scientists out there, but I'd be like, huh? Like, what? You know, or you open up the back of the math book and you're like, there is no way at the end of this school year I'm going to suddenly know how to do all these things. And by the way, why do these math problems have letters? Like, I thought this was math. I didn't know we were in English class right now. But, you know, you grow, right? I needed to learn the really raw basics to understand and then learn how to implement. Validating people, still working on that one. Like, you know, how to, you know, listen and support someone and not want to fix it and offer my suggestions and share my wisdom, because sometimes people just don't want to hear it. And those people could be my kids and my significant other or my friends. And I still, like, halfway through, like, I was telling my kids today, I'm like, you know what? We're not even calling them TED Talks anymore. Don't relate to that. Our little Tasha Talks here in the car, and, you know, and I'm like, not even, like, I'm just going because I'm so excited and passionate that I've learned this or I've experienced this or I know somebody else has, and here's the solution to all the problems. And sometimes people just simply don't want to hear it. And so sometimes people just want their experience validated. So I'm still working on that. Like, I'm still working on a lot of things. But what this reminder in this window is, you know, we get so afraid of the failure. We get so afraid of letting go that sometimes we fail to see that this is exactly the change that we need in order to thrive. I cannot tell you how many hours I have invested in making this very difficult decision to separate with Chris. I cannot even calculate how many hours were invested into it. And yet in all this time, that since it was said out loud, since it was written down, despite whatever turmoil, whatever, you know, however he has reacted and whatever he has told the kids and, you know, whatever, you know, feedback I've received from my kids, I have never once second guessed the decision. I have understood and actually have had a bazillion, you know, confirmations on why this was the right choice for me personally. Even if it wasn't the right choice for him or my kids, this is the right choice for me. And it doesn't mean I failed, and it doesn't mean he failed, and it doesn't mean that all that energy and time I put into the relationship and all of the therapy that we went to and the date nights and the things that we tried to, you know, reconnect and bring that relationship to the next level, and we didn't succeed, it doesn't mean we didn't fail. It means we learned, and it means we grew, and it means that I was able to, you know, really reflect on the things that in a relationship are important to me, and to be around people that the best in me comes out and I bring out the best in them. And when we aren't at our best and we're coming in the day at 10% because, we're completely drained from our day, that our partner and spouse comes in with the other 90. And there's no like, well, I don't want to cook today because, Dottie did all this, even though you're tired and exhausted, whatever it is, it's we're a team, and we're balancing one another out and supporting one another. And next thing you know, next week you're rolling in at a 5 and I'm coming in at 95, and we're a team, and that this is somebody you can count on, and this is somebody that can count on you. And so those are the things important to me. And I didn't find that out until I self-reflected. I always had these feelings, and I would have these requests, like, I just want a teammate, I want a partner. Like, I don't want to be making all the decisions about where we live, where our kids go to school, what clothes they wear, what sports they participate in, and, how to get them their cleats and their pom-poms. Like, I didn't want to do everything on my own. I wanted a partner. I wanted somebody to say, hey, yeah, here's our 1 year, 5 year, 10-year goals. And he's like, I'm not like that. I'm a day-to-day kind of guy. And, I try to make it work by overcompensating and saying, okay, well, I'll just do it. Like, I can do things anyways, because I really wanted this relationship to work. I wanted this, this fairy tale of a marriage that never really existed, beyond in my mind of what, like, I imagined as a little girl a marriage would look like. And so recently I've even been talking to a friend, and she's much younger than me. And, she has gone through these different various relationships, and, she's currently in a relationship, and she really likes the guy, right? It's a new relationship, and she's so beautiful, and she's got a big heart. She is so lovely. And, here she is, like, getting a moment, because not the moment she wanted, because he suddenly didn't respond for a couple days or communicate with her for a few days. It gave her this moment of clarity where she was like, yeah, there are some red flags, and there are some things that I can see I'm surrendering myself. I'm like, oh sure, fine, yeah, I can do that. Like, okay, at first maybe no, I didn't want to do that, but yeah, I will. And how quick as women, and I know me personally, and I only know the women's experience, I know me personally has done this. I've watched my daughter do this, where we like, I like him so much. Like, you have this good intent. You're a people pleaser. You want peace, and you like them. And actually what they're saying doesn't sound so bad, right? Like, it's not that bad. Like, if we homeschool our kids, like, it's not that bad. Like, yeah, I always thought they'd go to normal school, but honestly, like, I could do that. Like, it's not so bad. Like, so all these things, and I guess when there's a conversation and there's a mutual decision, fine. But I feel like in my experience, I was so quick to surrender who I was. I was quick to surrender this concept of having a partner. I was, quick to surrender, an equal disciplinarian of our kids, because he didn't want to discipline because he was over disciplined. And, like, he, wanted to do what he can when he wanted, but no commitment to, yeah, I'll consistently do this for the family, beyond going to work and taking out the garbage every day, which again was a challenge to get that. So I'm grateful that the garbage is taken out every day. But, I can look now in hindsight and see so many ways I was willing to surrender, because I liked him, because we had kids together, because we lived together, because I wanted peace, and because I wanted him happy, and I didn't want him to harm himself. Like, and hearing her experience again, where, out of liking someone else, she's so willing to surrender. And now she's at the new stage. And when my daughter first started dating her boyfriend, who I adore, he is an absolute wonderful human being. He is a very kind, intelligent, responsible, and I don't know the dynamic of the behind the scenes, but what I could see is when my daughter was before that relationship, she was really, really defining who she was. She was really cultivating this personal identity of who she was, and it was strong. Like it was she was just learning it, but she was like, you know, she had her conviction. But the minute she started dating him, it was like, bye whoever I am, let's do whatever you want to do. You like, you know, leg workouts, I like leg workouts, you know, when really she liked doing yoga, and she liked dancing, and, you know, she liked Pilates, but she surrendered who she was because she was willing to go do those things with him, but he wasn't willing to like come and go to a dance class. Although I don't believe that his type of personality is like, you can't go, but you know, in the beginning you want to be together. And so she's like, no, I can just, you know, workout's a workout. I could do whatever you're doing. And, you know, it was like, oh, you know, his family always wanted them at their house. And I was like, dude, go wherever you want to go. You know, you have an apartment at your school, you know, you could come here, you go, whatever you want to do. And out of sake of keeping the peace, she would always be with them. And it worked for a while until suddenly she was like, this is not the vibe for me. You know, like I am losing my identity. I can't even make my own decisions because your parents are making all the decisions for you still, which in turn is making the decisions for me. And it created all this strife and this thing. And it was like, you know, a complete, you know, role reversal. And now she's like, like, here's my thing. Like, I can't go. So it's created all this storm of change as she's regaining her own self-identity again and reflecting on the fact that she abandoned herself. And again, this lovely young lady at the gym, adore her. She's gonna be my travel buddy. Like, we made a commitment to it, and I told my son, and he's like, yeah, it's never gonna happen. So we're still traveling together. And she'll be a who. I just know it. But she, you know, reflected and realized that, you know, she has abandonment issues, and now she is the one who's abandoning herself for somebody else. She's quieting her voice and allowing him to talk all the time and doing all these things. So again, I think, you know, sometimes we just want something to work so much. Like, I like him so much. He checks all the right boxes. You know, they were beautiful succulents. They had many colors. They're desert. You know, it doesn't get full sun. It's hot up there, but it's not full sun all day. It gets sun, and then it gets shade in the afternoon. Like, it should work. Like, in principle, it should work. But sometimes in reality, it just simply doesn't. It's not the right environment for them. And I know I put a lot of time and effort, and I know I loved watching them thrive, but it's really a challenge to watch them die and struggle to survive. And having this decision in my head to either say, it's time to abandon this idea and put them someplace else. And it's not abandoning them. I'm not just gonna, you know, throw them out in the trash can. I'm just moving them where they're going to thrive. I'm going to put them in a place that hopefully we can discover together that works better for them and not necessarily for what I want. And so I think it's really important, again, it's this multi-layered approach is you're never going to find that if you don't take the time to self-reflect, right? Like, you need to reflect and ask yourself these deep questions and be honest, you know? And I think, like, so many times, like within my marriage, that I was like, again, had this mantra where it was like, I love my kids more than I don't like him. I love my kid, you know, like, it wasn't about me. It was about my kids, or it was about him. And, you know, and what was about me was my love for my kids. But being a martyr is not what they want out of a mom, you know, and I'm sure there's times it benefits them, but, you know, like, overall, I do believe my kids love me as a human, and as a human would like to see me in an environment that I'm going to thrive and flourish in. I mean, I can't tell you, like I said, how many hours I've invested on making this very difficult decision. And had it not been for an email that I perhaps misread, it seemed like I read right, I don't know, to finally have the courage to say, yes, oh my gosh, I'm so glad that we are finally on the same page, and feel this sense of relief over us. Like, that inner child in me was like, girl, I'm tired. Like, I've been telling you for 25 years, like, And you kept putting me in an environment where I simply was not thriving, and I was at times barely surviving, and I was so distracted, right? I have 4 beautiful kids, and we're busy life, and we're volunteering, and when there wasn't something going on, I created something else to go to distract me from listening to what I didn't want to hear. And I didn't know how to listen to. And I thought, oh, you're just being drama over there. Like, go sit down, quiet up. But really taking this time to listen to the inner voice, to reflect on what's going on and be honest. Because it was like, yeah, I'm happy. I'm fine. Everything's okay. No, it wasn't. It was not okay. I was not fine. I was not okay with the gazillion times that something terrible happened. And I never even just simply got a sorry. Like, a sorry doesn't make it better. Like, I had to wait 22 years to get an apology for an affair. 22 years. That, like, it's not a big deal, but it was a very big deal. Like, to have that accountability and say, I really hurt you, and I wish I could take it back. And I don't want him to sit there and wish he can take it back. I just want him to learn going forward, like, you really hurt me. And then there was no, like, repair done. Like, when you came back, it was even more cruelty. And, again, that's on me. I didn't have to make him back, but I thought that was the easier. I thought that was the fairy tale. I thought that's what you were supposed to do. He wanted to come back, so we got to let him come back. And, got to protect him because he was saying he wasn't, doing well without us. And so, again, I think we need to take these moments to reevaluate our environment. It could be your job. Be your relationships. It could be something in your home. It could be where your home is located. Reevaluate your environment. The decisions we make 2 years ago, 5 years ago, 6 months ago, 6 weeks ago, may not work today and may not work in 5 years. And just because we committed to them and we put in this effort, but I redid the whole kitchen and I did the backyard and I did all these things, it doesn't mean it's still right for you. I put in so much time at this job. I've really, I've made an effort. I'm building my way up the ranks. I've had promotions, and, I've made a lot of friends, and it's a quick commute, and, it's not a failure to change. One of my sons and I were having a talk yesterday, and he's the one that graduated in senior in high school. And he's at a crossroads, right? You have option one, you go to UCLA. It's the easy option, right? It's what everybody does. You just go to college. You get into UCLA. It's a great school. It's an amazing school. Oh my gosh. There's debate in my family. Is it the #1 public university in the world, or is Berkeley the #1 university? 2 will say it's Berkeley and 1 will say it's UCLA now. Like, will he go to UCLA? Will he go to Spain and pursue playing soccer? Because he put a lot of time and effort, and for him would be a shame that after all this time and effort he's put in to just abandon it. Or does he continue with his video gaming of soccer that he's, again, also put a lot of time and effort into and seen a lot of success with? Or does he, go play soccer locally and combine a couple of these options together? There's so many different options, right? But he has this sense of, I put so much time into it, and it's like there's an expectation to get something out. And sometimes what we get out of all the time we put into something is a lesson. We may not win the trophy. We may get caught up and banged up. But what we learned is something new about ourselves, and that we can see that sometimes switching an environment is the exact thing that we need to do in order to flourish, in order to thrive, in order to feel safe and in peace. And, you have to be willing to also take that action and say, you know what, this weekend, I really struggle with getting the screen in and out, or I would do it, damn it, right now. But this weekend, I'm going to put these succulents as a symbol for me in a different environment. And when I begin to see them flourish in a different environment, it's going to be this visual reminder to me, like priming my system, that sometimes we really want something to work. I wanted my marriage to work, My son really wanted to be able to go and play professional soccer. My daughter really wants this relationship to work. My new friend, she really wants this new relationship to work. But sometimes, as much as we want it, they just simply don't. It's not right for us. And so to be able to have the courage to say, I need to make a change, is huge. And be kind to yourself. Don't beat yourself up over the time lost on, when you were in the relationship being, dictated by somebody else and doing things, surrendering yourself. Don't be mad at yourself. Be kind and take that as a learning lesson so that in the future you can respond in a way that aligns with you, in a way that you are proud of, in that you are wanting in your life, and not just simply reacting out of fear of losing somebody or whatever else is going on in there. So I say all this to say, booyah! I am so excited that I was able to be here with you today. I'm so glad you stuck with me. I really hope you're taking those little steps of self-reflection and finding it throughout your day. Maybe a few minutes in the car without music or a podcast, unless it's mine. Just kidding, but I'm not. Or before bed or when you wake up. I love doing it in the morning simply because it's time that usually I'm not distracted by somebody. I can control my time the best in the daytime, in the morning, in the daytime. It is morning for me, but the morning, so find a time. And then as you begin doing it, I find myself naturally doing it more and more throughout the day. And it's just this thing that is, it's a very continual process. Am I hungry? You're just kind of checking in what's going on, and you're able to sense when there is danger and something is feeling off. You feel it more often, but you know how to respond instead of just reacting and getting in a tailspin because whatever is occurring. So I say all this to say thank you so much for tuning in today. I'm so proud of you. I adore you. I really, really, really hope that you're taking small, tiny little actions to create this life that you are proud of, because you deserve it. You are worthy of it. I am so grateful for you. So please go out there today, give somebody a big smile, give them a compliment, and just watch how they glow up. Bye.